everything you need to know about Saturday Night Live with John Schneider and James Stevens.
Welcome, everybody, to everything you need to know about Saturday Night Live. My name is John Schneider from the Saturday Night Network.
And I'm James Stevens, and we're exploring season by season all the cast members, sketches, characters, and backstage stories that have made SNL a television institution.
So welcome to everything you need to know about Season 2 of Saturday Night Live. The second season would premiere on September 18th, 1976, with host Lily Tomlin and musical guest James Taylor. By this point, the popularity of the cast had skyrocketed, evident in the cold open, where we would see shots of fans waiting on the street to meet the cast and see Lily arrive. The season premiere would also feature the last appearance of Jim Henson's Muppets.
This may be our last chance on this show.
Put to rest by Lily Tomlin in the Muppet Morgue. The most notable sketch was SNL's first presidential debate sketch.
Debate 76.
Between Chevy's Gerald Ford.
It was my understanding that there would be no math.
And Aykroyd's Jimmy Carter.
Watergate, W-A-T-E.
The sketch features a pratfall from Chase that would cause him to injure himself.
No problem.
He would remain hospitalized until the fourth episode of the season.
Chevy Chase's absence is the first major storyline of Season 2. Given that Chevy was the show's first breakout star, his absence resulted in many references to his not being there, while fans questioned when he would return.
Chevy, I love when you fall down each Saturday night on my TV.
The second show was hosted by television producer Norman Lear. Jane Curtin would anchor Weekend Update in this and the next episode before ultimately assuming the role in November. In episode 3, Monty Python's Eric Idle came to host.
Here comes the sun!
The episode opens with comic Richard Belzer, who had been serving as the show's audience warm-up act, posing as Chevy Chase.
Good evening, I'm Chevy Chase, and you're not.
I'm Chevy Chase, and you're not, and I coined that phrase. Coin this, pal.
The episode also includes a music video featuring a Beatles parody rock band, the Ruddles. This would mark the first American broadcast of the Ruddles.
The Fab Four, who created a musical legend that will last a lunchtime.
John Belushi's Joe Cocker impression returns with Belushi performing Feeling All Right alongside the man himself. Chevy Chase would make his return to the show in the Karen Black episode, being dumped from his wheelchair by John Belushi in the cold open. Chevy was back in full force, even returning to the update desk. But this would not be the end of Season 2 drama involving Chevy Chase.
October 23rd, 1976 was the night the host of all hosts made his first appearance. Stand-up comic Steve Martin hosted for the first time, and we get a great monologue.
I like to keep the laughs rolling even while I'm playing.
And the fan favorite Jeopardy! 1999 sketch.
TV for 50,000. Comedian whose career fizzled after leaving NBC's Saturday Night. The correct answer is, who was Chevy Chase? Chevy Chase.
Buck Henry then returned to the show for his third hosting appearance, which is a very memorable episode because this is the episode when John Belushi swung his sword in the Samurai Stockbroker sketch, and it cut through Buck's forehead, forcing him to wear a bandage throughout the rest of the show. For moral support, the rest of the cast began wearing bandages throughout the other sketches that night. In a move that everybody saw coming, this episode would actually mark the final episode for Chevy Chase as a credited cast member, as he made the decision to move to Hollywood with his girlfriend and pursue films. Chevy would continue to make cameos up until the Christmas episode.
SNL began the post-Chevy era with the Dick Cavett episode in November, followed by an episode with Paul Simon and guest George Harrison. The offer Lorne Michaels made to the Beatles in the previous season is referenced in the cold open when both Lorne and former Beatle Harrison are seen haggling over the fee.
See, I thought that you would understand that if it was, $3,000 for 4 people, then it would just be $750 for 4.
This Thanksgiving episode also gives us a memorable monologue with Paul Simon dressed as a turkey.
I met my old lover on the street last night.
The final episode of November features the youngest host to that point, 14-year-old Jodie Foster. The Christmas episode of 1976, hosted by Candice Bergen, provides several eventful moments, including Frank Zappa's musical performance of I'm the Slime, featuring voiceover work by Don Pardo.
Your mind is totally controlled.
The debut of Dan Aykroyd's Erwin Mainway.
We put a label on every bag. It says, "Kid, be careful, broken glass."
Gilda and Candice breaking character and creating quite a memorable moment in the Right to Extreme Stupidity League.
We all can't be brainy like Fern here.
And the first instance of the cast ice skating outside 30 Rock during the Goodnights.
Merry Christmas.
The first show of 1977, hosted by author and political activist Ralph Nader, was one of the most notable in the original era. For the first time, we get to meet a new cast member, 26-year-old Bill Murray from Illinois, who after working at the Second City in Chicago, was recruited by John Belushi to perform on the National Lampoon Radio Hour, now joins the cast.
We need a little bit of warmth.
Another important addition, James Downey from the Harvard Lampoon joined the writing team. Downey would end up contributing to the show's writing on and off for over 30 years. Nader's episode is also notable because John Belushi is injured and mostly absent.
I will be back next week, with or without my leg.
And we see the debut of Gilda's Rhonda Weiss character, the talkative young Jewish woman from Long Island, as well as the first appearance of the Coneheads.
Daddy, where do we come from?
France.
80-year-old Ruth Gordon hosts the next show. There appears to be a bit of an uncomfortable generation gap between Gordon and the cast, though the episode does deliver a debut character in Dan Aykroyd's sleazy talk show host,
E. Buzz Miller.
Our next host is Minnesota Vikings quarterback Fran Tarkenton, who had just come off a Super Bowl defeat to the Oakland Raiders. Tarkenton's episode was the first time a professional athlete hosted the show. A memorable moment occurred during Update that night when Jane Curtin, who had been receiving criticism of her being an anchor, surprised the audience with her response.
Try these on for size, Connie Chung.
While on break, the show presented a Sunday night special during primetime on February 20th, 1977, live from Mardi Gras. This is the only episode to be broadcast outside of New York City in the show's history. Penny Marshall and Eric Idle provided cameos, and Randy Newman appeared as musical guests. The show was in large part a disaster. Attempted to be filmed throughout different locations across New Orleans, technical difficulties and rowdy partygoers made the production a difficult pursuit. Buck Henry and Jane Curtin served as de facto Weekend Update anchors, intending to cover the parade.
Mardi Gras is just a French word meaning no parade.
Steve Martin returned to the show a week after the Mardi Gras special, followed by Sissy Spacek. Spacek's episode debuted another Aykroyd staple, Leonard Pinth Garnell.
Tonight we feature a work by Jan Horstrat, one of the worst.
An aficionado of bad art and theater productions, with his first appearance in Bad Playhouse. Musical guest Richard Baskin was perhaps one of the most obscure guests at the time, having not released an album or a single. His sister, Edie Baskin, was the show's photographer at the time, responsible for creating the original hand-painted look for the show, as well as the show's iconic bumper photography. Allegedly drunk, Broderick Crawford hosted in March with 4 different musical guests, including the Meters, who had been earlier cut from the Mardi Gras special. During this episode, we receive a plea from new kid Bill Murray, asking the audience for their support after some early struggles.
I don't think I'm making it on the show.
The episode, hosted by Jack Burns on March 26, 1977, is notable in that it marks the first time the show would carry the title.
NBC Saturday Night Live.
Georgia State Senator Julian Bond would host next.
My theory is that it's based on the fact that light-skinned blacks are smarter than dark-skinned blacks.
Followed by Elliott Gould returning in April.
Now you're doing the castration walk.
Gould's show would debut Bill Murray's Nick the Lounge Singer character.
Happy anniversary!
Which truly changed the trajectory of Murray's SNL career. Paul Schaefer is seen as the piano accompanist for Nick the Lounge Singer in this and in subsequent episodes. Eric Idle would then return to host the last show in April.
Shelley Duvall would host the penultimate show of Season 2, followed by Buck Henry returning for the 4th time to host the finale. The finale episode definitely has that classic SNL feel with the samurai, the coneheads, a unique sketch where Bill Murray's character interviews his wife and her lover in the shower, a brief cameo by Chevy Chase,
Candygram,
and the final weekend update for Jane Curtin as the sole anchor. This episode would mark a tradition of Buck hosting the season finale for the next 3 seasons.
Season 2 of Saturday Night Live is a must-watch for any SNL fan.
Really enough to make you want to puke your guts out.
We kick off the first half of the season with the end of Chevy Chase's arc as a cast member, and as the cast learns to spread their wings without Chevy, we begin 1977 with the addition of a future powerhouse in Bill Murray. Important recurring characters begin to develop, new types of hosts are brought in, and the writers truly become more creative. All of this leads to what is known as possibly one of the greatest seasons of Saturday Night Live ever, Season 3. If you are enjoying this series, don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel below, and follow us on social media to see all of the sketches you need to watch from Season 2 of SNL.
Saturday Night Live Season 2 is now available on Peacock. For all of us here at the Saturday Night Network, I'm James Stevens.
And I'm John Schneider. Good night and have a pleasant tomorrow.